This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
This county is sold on tourism as an economic engine. And this is shooting yourself in the foot to allow this kind of development.
It is called Aqua by the Bay, formerly Longboat Point, and it's the pet project of Medallion Homes CEO Carlos Baruf. The Manatee County developer is once again pushing to build nearly 3,000 homes along more than 500 acres of coastal land, but environmentalists say it could do irreparable harm, and nearby residents say it could make bad traffic problems worse. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Conan. Welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on Aqua by the Bay coming up, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight in Venice, where the community is mourning the deaths of a father and daughter who died after driving off the South Jetty and into the Gulf. A memorial is now in place honoring Eugene and Carol Hayden. The accident happened on Monday afternoon. People on shore and as well as nearby boaters jumped into the water trying to rescue the pair. The Haydens both lived at the village on the Isles of Venice and attended St. Mark's Episcopal Church. Today, people came out in droves to pay their respects, including their pastor.
What goes through your mind? That car, that van bobbing down, and then it's, oh no, that's not just a car. You know, that's Carol and that's Gene. We probably all wonder, what did they say to each other? We'll never know.
A candlelight vigil is planned at Village of the Isles tomorrow evening. Manatee County Sheriff's deputies are looking for 5 people tonight believed to be involved in a home invasion robbery. Deputies say 5 suspects, all armed with handguns, broke into a home on 5th Street East just after midnight. Deputies say 3 people were playing video games inside the home. At the time, the suspect hit 2 victims on the head. Deputies say they stole cash and took off. Investigators believe the home was targeted. Too often we report on the friction between police and the community, but tonight, however, Sarasota Sheriff's Office is trying to change that. Command staff are working with a diverse group of residents to craft a 4-year strategic plan revolving around the goal of working with the community to improve public safety and fairly enforcing the law, promoting transparency and diversity.
A lot's going on in that environment, so fair and impartial policing, implicit bias, things that law enforcement is starting to look at and say, we could do things better. And their willingness and openness to do that was impressive to me.
The Sheriff's Office plans to review and update the plan annually. Some alarming news tonight from the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. Overdose deaths are now the leading cause of accidental death among people ages 25 to 64, exceeding car accidents. The deaths are preventable. If you witness someone overdosing, call 911. Under Florida's Good Samaritan Act, you won't be arrested even if you are using or in possession of narcotics. It's National Travel and Tourism Week, but for many agencies across Florida, it is not time to celebrate. Florida's new budget slashes tourism marketing funds. Visit Sarasota is preparing to deal with the massive cuts to its partner organization, Visit Florida. The budget for the agency is going from $76 million to $25 million. Nearly a third of Visit Sarasota's promotions are done with Visit Florida, and officials fear this could be a major blow to local tourism. Tourism dollars could be key to relocating the spring training home for the Atlanta Braves to Northport by 2019. Sarasota County Commissioners are approving $22 million in tourism taxes to help pay for the stadium and facilities. The West Villages is providing the property and the infrastructure for the Braves, and there are plans to apply for $20 million from the state. The Braves will put in more than $7 million. The city of Northport is also planning to spend up to $5 million. Northport City Commissioners want a stake so they can use the stadium in the off-season and help attract more visitors to the city.
People in Northport for years have wanted something to help draw people to the city. So certainly the Atlanta Braves, with their name recognition, not only brings people to the community during those times, but it really helps put Northport on the map.
The West Villages has until July 1st to apply for the state dollars. This is why a lot of folks want municipal elections in November, not the spring. We're learning just how many voters participated in the city commission elections for Sarasota and Northport. In Sarasota, more than 8,500 people cast a ballot, a 22% turnout. More than 4,600 voted in Northport, a 10% turnout. While the totals exceeded those in the March election, it is still well below the turnout seen in the November election. And Bob, the weather was not an excuse.
Yeah, you can't use weather for that. We had beautiful weather yesterday, and it was warm. Inland areas, mid-90s, but near the beaches with that sea breeze kicking in kept things a bit milder there, and that's the case this time of year as water temperatures are still not unbearable. They're in the low 80s for the most part. And one thing we have had, though, is a little bit of problem with our air quality. That's a result of ozone really piling up out in the Gulf during the late morning, early afternoon. The sea breeze kicks in and brings that ozone level high into the coast. 88 now in Orlando. They were into the mid-90s there earlier today. That's going to be a hot day at the park there if you're going to Disney. And temperatures right now into the low 90s in Mayaca City, Wauchula, Avon Park, Sebring, and Lake Placid. Temperatures, though, in Venice, not bad. 79 at the end of the pier there, 77 in Inglewood. 87, though, 10 degrees warmer in Parrish, 82 in Anna Maria, and Bradenton now at 85 degrees, or actually Lakewood Ranch at 85. And the forecast through this evening looks good. Clear skies and 72. No threat of any rainfall around right now. Some false echoes out there in the Gulf of Mexico. We still are under a high fire danger through 8 o'clock tonight, and then it will be reissued again tomorrow beginning at 11 a.m. That's a red flag warning, meaning extreme low humidities as well as very high potential for fires to spread. So that's the reason why we're in that red flag warning that you see. As far as the winds go, they're coming in out of the west right now, but they'll subside later on this evening, turn more north to northeasterly in direction, and really start off calm throughout the day tomorrow and then pick up in the afternoon. Dry air still continues to funnel our way, and that's a direct result of the high pressure system located right over the southeast. That sinking air actually dries the air and keeps things very quiet here in terms of rainfall.
And it just so happens my daughter Ann is at Disney today with her cousin.
Oh, is that right?
Hope they're having a good time and staying cool.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, these overgrown fields and salty estuaries could become the home of one of the largest development projects in Manatee County. However, the proposal is once again facing local and federal backlash. We'll have the details when we return.
Introducing the all-new Alfa Romeo Giulia, a performance masterpiece. Race-inspired handling and lightning-fast response times take your drive to the next level. Find yours at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
The official Suncoast Storm team at ABC7. We're here for you.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $10 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand with no surprises and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular received a J.D. Power Award for highest customer service. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. So stop paying for more than you need and switch now. For a limited time, get your first month of service free. Call 800-457-2317, go online, or visit a Target store today.
Attention! This is an important message for anyone who has taken Xarelto or Pradaxa. If you or a loved one took the blood thinner medication Xarelto or Pradaxa and was then hospitalized for internal bleeding, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to serious, even fatal internal bleeding. If you suffered a stroke, heart attack, or serious internal bleeding, or if a loved one died after taking Xarelto or Pradaxa, call us now. Our network of attorneys have years of experience fighting the big pharmaceutical companies and is ready to fight for you. Potential claims are being reviewed for users of Xarelto or Pradaxa who have suffered severe bleeding or hemorrhaging, stroke, or even death. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You won't pay a thing unless your case is settled. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone.
Please call 800-928-6604. That is 800-928-6604.
Julia from Alfa Romeo. Appearance. Performance. Power. Find yours at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
The environment versus development, it is a frequent storyline here on the Suncoast, and the latest example is the huge proposed housing development now called Aqua by the Bay, being pushed by one of the area's biggest and most powerful developers. Kate Flexter joins us with more. Kate.
Thanks, Alan. Once known as Long Bar Point, the developer says this new plan is more environmentally friendly, but those opposed are not convinced.
It's the largest remaining stretch of mangrove-lined shore on Sarasota Bay. And for years, this 529-acre property has been the scene of a contentious battle.
Once it's lost, it never can be returned. It'll be devastating to our environment.
In 2013, a development proposal called Long Bar Point brought hundreds to a commission meeting, some in favor, many opposed. Ultimately, the proposal was denied, and the developer Carlos Baruf sued the county, but the court upheld the commission's decision. Now, 4 years later, Baruf is back with a revised plan called Aqua by the Bay. Last week, the developer came before the county commission to ask for permission to build, a request he told the commission he would personally appreciate. This time, the crowd was smaller but still large as concerned citizens watched from overflow rooms.
If anything, I think this proposal is the same or worse than the last time when they were here dressed as Long Bar Point.
The new plan calls for 2,900 homes, multiple high-rises, and a nearly 2-mile seawall along a stretch of the bay Cortez fishermen call the Kitchen, known for fostering juvenile fish. For those opposed, concerns range from the environment to the local economy.
This county is sold on tourism as an economic engine, and this is shooting yourself in the foot to allow this kind of development.
But the developer claims the project will have no impact on mangroves and seagrass, with minimal impact on wetlands.
Their plan doesn't call for any impact on the mangroves, and they have no plan to destroy the environment whatsoever.
Mary Doherty-Slapp of the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange suspects much of the resistance is still a reaction to the 2013 plan.
I think a lot of it is residual from the past plan, when they really wanted to do something big in the community that really would have put that area of Manatee County on the map.
Former Manatee County Commissioner Joe McClash has made it his mission to protect the land. And in his 22 years serving the county commission, he says,
There's never been an attack on our environment like I'm seeing today. Is really against all the science and policies that we worked on for almost 30 years.
Baruf and McClash have a long history. The developer used his influence in the race against incumbent McClash and then county planner Betsy Benak. Baruf spent more than $60,000 on Benak's campaign and attacked McClash, paying for advertisements comparing the Republican to Barack Obama. In the end, Benak won the election and is now chairwoman of the Manatee County Commission, a role that makes her instrumental in approving Baruf's Aqua by the Bay. So for McClash, the impact runs deeper than the environment or the economy.
People ask you that question, is like, why do you do this? And it's like, I live here. You kind of have a vested interest in making sure that the future is protected. Too often people sit and quietly accept it, and I guess I'm not one of those type of people.
Either way, this will not be the end of the issue. The developer still needs approval at the state and federal level before breaking ground.
Kate, thank you. And coming up, the environmentalist and former county commissioner who are trying to get in the way. Hold on. We are walking over to the trapezoid.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like cell phone protection for 3 phones, plus an interest-bearing account. And that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope.
and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
It's no small wonder anybody loves it all.
I just love art that moves me.
No small,
I mean, really moves me.
wonder.
Sunset Fiat of Sarasota presents No Small Wonder. High performance style. Let the art of Fiat move you.
Today, the air is perfect. Inside. Expect more from your cooling and heating. Daikin.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like full ID theft protection, and that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Welcome back. Who will win this latest clash between development and the environment on the Suncoast? If you haven't heard of Aqua by the Bay, perhaps you know it by its former incarnation, Longbar Point, and perhaps you know of the head of the powerful developer who is behind it, Carlos Baruf, the former Senate candidate, current chairman of the Constitution Review Commission, and the big-time Republican player and contributor. Baruf's first proposal to develop the scenic and environmentally sensitive site was rejected, but he is now back with a name change and plans to build almost 3,000 homes. And joining us for more is the former Manatee County Commissioner Joe McClash and Andy Melee, the Suncoast waterkeeper. And we want to note we invited Carlos Baruf to join us as well as a representative from the County Commission. Our requests were turned down. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. There was a recent column in the Sarasota Herald that talked about the last commission meeting when the proposal was kicked back to the planning board, and it took note of Mr. Baruf's use of the word, "I would personally appreciate your consideration on that." And after Kate's story describing his support for some of the current commission members, what do you make of that, Joe?
Well, you wouldn't ask a judge to be personally appreciating, something that, the judge is doing. And county commissioners are very similar to judges when they're dealing with these land use matters. So it was very inappropriate for that comment. But I think it also shows the attitude of the individual. I really have labeled Mr. Baruf as a political bully. He has great influence in the state, and he's using those powers to do things that he shouldn't be able to do.
The obvious question that some people who are watching this might ask right now is your opposition to this proposal and to Mr. Baruf and generally tied back to what he did when you were trying to run for re-election?
No, I think the evidence is real clear. Look at the Army Corps of Engineers rejecting his latest mitigation bank proposal. Our environmental groups are saying this isn't right, what he's doing. And then the Army Corps twice so far says, you know what, you guys are right. When he went to the state to get the mitigation bank, the first time that the reviewers looked at it, it was a scathing letter about the mitigation bank, much like the Army Corps. Guess what? Somebody made a phone call up in Tallahassee, and the next thing you know, it was a 180, and all of a sudden the mitigation bank got permitted. And the first time it got permitted, it got withdrawn by Mr. Baruf, and then the second time, It got permitted, and it's currently being challenged by myself and Suncoast Waterkeepers.
This is a complicated issue. I want to get to all of it. But Andy, let me ask you this, because if you saw in Kate's story, the representative from the Builders Association said, for all the stated concern about the environmental issues, the wetlands and the mangroves, this plan would not disturb any of them. How do you respond to that?
That's completely disingenuous, completely false. It was absolutely designed and intended to be deceptive. When Baruch went to the FDEP with his mangrove mitigation bank, he used this, which shows no upland development whatsoever. Then, when he went to Swiftmud for permission to fill wetlands, he showed this.
Hold it up a little bit more.
Which has 24 150-foot buildings located on it. And then when he made his application to the county, there were no buildings shown again, even though the code and the land development code clearly states that if you're looking for a variance on your heights, you have to have your building plan there showing the locations on the property.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the reason why the county commission is kicking it back to the planning board is because there was an impression, whether it was mistaken or not, that this development would include 2 buildings and not more.
Correct. I mean, and it's hard to believe after 2 years in reviewing that a planner wouldn't ask the question, is there only 2 of these buildings being built on this to accommodate 2,800 units?
Well, then you're raising the question or the idea of, do you think there was blind ignorance there, or could it have been an honest mistake?
Well, let's put it this way. The staff report with that type of information went back to Mr. Baruch's attorney, Mr. Vogler, and his team, and they looked at it, and they had the opportunity to tell the county, this really isn't the right perception that you're creating here, that there's only 1 of each of these buildings. We're actually going to build a lot more than that. As a matter of fact, we have, the permit that we applied for with Swiftmud showing 24 10-story buildings.
Okay, we will pick this up in just a moment, right after we get a check on the forecast, so stay with us.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like cell phone protection for 3 phones, plus an interest-bearing account. And that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names. They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
Call right now to get your free Senior Care Compass ebook. Find out about the 5 best-kept secrets on financing senior care and assisted living.
Call now, 800-290-0352. 800-290-0352.
Daddy! Happy Mother's Day!
Thank you, sweetie.
Happy Mother's Day.
Exceed your mom's expectations this Mother's Day with flowers from Beneva Flowers and Gifts.
It's Lincoln's summer sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKC Sports Utility for $249 per month or 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We are located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like full ID theft protection, and that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Our discussion of the Aqua by the Bay proposal continues in just a moment, but right now let's get a check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, the burn ban continues here, and I think more counties will be included right now. Manatee, Sarasota, Charlotte counties, as well as Highlands County in the burn ban, meaning no burning going on in those counties as a result of the dry conditions that are in place right now. Hardy and DeSoto are outside of that, but you can see the dry conditions persisting here. And looking at the long-range forecast, we don't see anything sneaking up anytime soon to bring us that rain that we desperately need. And high problems with our pollution right now as a result of the ozone really starting to crank up this time of year with a high pressure stagnant, not meaning that the mixing of the atmosphere is not prevalent, and that allows that pollution just to kind of accumulate over the days. And we'll see that again, a problem tomorrow, I suspect, as that high pressure will be slowly sinking over the top of us. We still have a high fire danger in effect through this evening up until about 8 o'clock. That will expire as the humidity values start to come back down or up in the area as far as that goes. When it gets down in the 30 percentile range, those advisories are issued. We'll have another one tomorrow. It'll start at 11 o'clock and go through Thursday until 8 p.m. Currently at the Sarasota Braden Airport, it's 83. Venice a little bit cooler at 78 degrees right now, and the high today was warm, 88. That's a little bit above average, not close to the record of 94 set back in 1929. And we're going for record drought as far as that goes. We're nearing 9 inches below average right now. Forecast for Thursday, lots of sunshine, temperatures into the upper 80s within a few miles of the coast. Now, inland areas will get into the low to mid 90s. We're talking 93, 95 degrees in places like Wauchula, Arcadia, even Northport and Parrish tomorrow. We'll start off with very light winds. They'll be calm throughout the morning, and then by late morning, we'll start to see that sea breeze kick in. It'll really pick up in the afternoon, and that will keep things a little bit milder near the coast. There's that big blue H, keeping skies clear through Georgia, Florida, and we have some clouds encroaching over the lower Mississippi Valley in advance of a storm system. Now, this storm system will bring rough weather into Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana tomorrow night. And this could be rather rough going in terms of tornadic activity throughout this region. And then again on Friday afternoon and Saturday morning, it could get rough again over Mississippi and into Alabama, as well as into the panhandle of Florida. That front will bring us only a slight chance for showers here along west central Florida as a result of it kind of bumping into that high pressure ridge and losing a lot of its steam. Temperatures down to the 50s and 60s over the upper Great Lakes. Much warmer, though, into Dallas now at 80 degrees, 84 in Atlanta. The forecast for boaters looks like this. Seas running right around 1 to 2 feet. Light to moderate chop in the afternoon. Water temperature at 81 degrees, and the UV index will be at 11. Now, low tide at 8:23, and sunset will be at 8:09, 6:54 for sunrise tomorrow. 7-day forecast calls for only a slight chance for a shower, increasing clouds on Saturday. And then for Mother's Day, looks good. Sunshine and 88. Alan will be back with the guests right after this.
It took a lot of work and dedication for 7 teachers to start our credit union and create a foundation that we continue to build on today. At Achieva, we never lose sight of the values that have defined us for over 75 years. And that's good to know. Achieva, banking for good.
When my youngest, Addie, was 2.5, she was diagnosed with leukemia. When we first heard that diagnosis, you feel extremely alone. Walking in that Light the Night light with 6,000 people carrying lights, white for survivors, red for supporters, gold in memory of those who have passed. It's the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's hope that every year there are fewer gold lanterns. Your lantern will make a difference.
Start a team, join a team.
Help us light the night.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251, 800-628-1251.
The official salon of ABC7.
letting loose along.
It took a lot of work and dedication for 7 teachers to start our credit union and create a foundation that we continue to build on today. At Achieva, we never lose sight of the values that have defined us for over 75 years, and that's good to know. Achieva, banking for good.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing the controversial Aqua by the Bay project, formerly known as Longbar Point. It got initial approval from the Manatee County Planning Commission, but that was before board members realized it could be comprised of more than 2 buildings. Opponents say the project could damage the Sarasota Bay estuary and protected plants. Joining us for more on tonight's topic is former Manatee County Commissioner Joe McClash and Andy Melee of the Suncoast Waterkeepers. And we want to discuss all of that, but I want to kind of push back from the perspective of the builders. If you remember in Kate's story that she just did, Mary Dockley's slap of the Gulf Coast Business Exchange, Builders Exchange, that says that that a lot of the opposition is residual to the former plan that was introduced, and that the idea of that former plan was to put Manatee County on the map. And one might say is, don't we want this? Don't we want projects like this to get more people to live in our community, to pay taxes in our community? The construction of this project would bring jobs to the area. Isn't that something that we want?
Well, certainly it's something that we want, and it's already happening. We don't need to have a unique project that destroys all the environmental components that we really enjoy in this community. You know, whether you're a fisherman or whether you're person that just likes to take an eco tour and get out on the bay, you know, this project would destroy a natural area, a natural shoreline that the codes and rules say it needs to be protected. And anybody that wants to use that argument that we need more jobs and we need more traffic, I mean, just look around in Manatee County. We can't handle the traffic we have now. Not to say that we should stop building, but we have a healthy economy based on the buildings that are taking place now, and there's no reason to introduce something that is so different to the character of Manatee County, something that the people in Manatee County have stood up and said over and over again to their county commissioners and their city council, whether it be on the islands of Longboat Key or Anna Marie Island, that we want to be unique. We want to be a low-rise community. We don't want to look like Miami.
Right.
You know, and then somebody comes up and says, you know, we want to be like Celebration here on Sarasota Bay. Well, that's the worst place in the world.
Kathy Fannin, a lady who does eco tours out of Cortez, said very tellingly that nobody's ever asked her to go see a tall building. Nobody's ever asked her to go look at a seawall. It's always to go look at the mangroves, to go look at the fish. The bay is the economic driver of this region, of its tourism. And if you'll indulge me for a second, I will show you what this project is going to do. This is a visual simulation of what the beautiful, pristine shoreline is going to look like, approximately, if Aqua by the Bay gets built, with this wall of 150-foot buildings.
Now, you showed that to Carlos Brew, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, I did.
And what was the reaction?
His face was blank. They had not thought to, or had basically decided it was better not to try anything like a visual simulation. And my pitch to the county commissioners was, not only do they owe you a building plan, so you see what they're actually going to do, and so that we know what they're actually going to do, but they owe you a visual simulation so that you can see what the bay, what they're going to do to the bay, which is this beautiful, astonishing place with the azure waters. And
going back to the mangrove issue, because there was a disagreement about whether or not mangroves would be impacted by this construction. We talked about the mitigation bank. I want you both to, number one, discuss what that is, and number two is if there is a plan to mitigate anything that is destroyed in construction of this project, and you're basically planting or preserving mangroves in other areas. Is that not a good thing?
Well, first of all, let's put it this way. Well, if you're going to do a development, normally you show the community the whole plan. Like back in 2013, the community objected. So what's taking place now is this piecemeal approach. So certainly mitigation banks are considered a good thing because you're protecting the environment, but the consequence also is that it's for adverse impacts somewhere else. So you get these things called credits, with like money in the bank. Now you want 7 seagrass credits for putting a few markers out in Sarasota Bay, not even on his own property, that aren't regulatory. And we don't have a seagrass issue in Sarasota Bay now.
Seagrasses are federally protected, extremely well protected. It's the whole mitigation bank was a cynical ploy to try to address the fact that everybody thought the last go-around he was going to wipe out the mangrove fringe. He's still going to wipe out the mangrove fringe.
So
just a different way.
So basically, he's going to get he's asked for 7 seagrass credits. That allows him to dredge 7 acres in Sarasota Bay if he could get a permit from the Army Corps of a similar mitigation bank like he had from the state.
I want to get to 2 areas here. Number one is, in your opinion, this project is going to be about 3,000 homes, so to speak. Do you believe that in the end is what it would be, or do you suspect or think that it's going to be a project that eventually will be bigger than what we believe it is, or is being told that?
There's only 270 buildable acres. Everybody talks about 500 and something acres, but much of that is the mitigation bank and the underwater lands of the seagrass beds. There's really only 270, I think 267 buildable acres on this thing. 2,900 units as expressed. I mean, if you can believe anything that they say. And so that it's just like you do the math. He's just got to go up. It's got to go up, and that wall of buildings is what
go
you're
up in terms of a higher structure.
And the bottom line, we can't handle the amount of development on the west side without improving road improvements, and he proposes really no significant road improvements. And that's why people are mad as well. They're sick of the traffic, the congestion, and developers coming in and saying, oh, we're going to build 3,000 units, but by the way, we don't have to do a whole lot to improve the road network.
So the question then becomes, where do you all suspect this is going to go? It's going back to the planning board with more information in terms of what is going to be built where. These commissions do have a history of occasionally saying no to developers. In the end, are you concerned that this may be pushed through, or are you confident that the commissions will stand up like they did last time?
Well, I'm confident the commissioners will do the right thing. I have to believe that as a previous county commissioner. When they look at the facts that this violates the Land Development Code and Comprehensive Plan, I think they'll have no choice but to deny this. He's asking for doing these variable width buffers, and they're not allowed according to the rules of the county the way he wants to do it. He doesn't provide a 50-foot buffer from the wetlands, which is important for the wetlands because the wetlands need that 50-foot of buffer for sea level rise and to prevent the nutrient loading into the mangroves, and for a variety of reasons that the scientists say we need at least 50 feet. It should be more. So,
there's there's innumerable violations.
Right.
If this is approved, it'll be riddled with violations. It will certainly get challenged.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if this is not built here, it may well be built in another community. I mean, Mr. Baroof and other developers are in it to create these kind of developments, and if it goes someplace else, it may be another county or community that...
Look, we're not against development. When I was a commissioner, we approved a plan in 2003 on Lombard Point that met the codes. Mr. Baroof has also just had a recent development approval about a year ago for 35-foot homes on the southern end of the property. So it's not like we're against development. We're just saying follow the rules, protect what we feel is important. And if you don't think Sarasota Bay is important, then tell that to the commercial fishermen and the recreational fishermen out there.
Jeff, just seconds left. I'll give you the last word, Andy.
Okay. What's proposed is incompatible with the area completely. It'll be the tallest buildings between downtown Sarasota and St. Petersburg, and it'll be right on top of the last pristine piece of shoreline on Sarasota Bay.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about our national lead story, the firing of FBI Director James Comey.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like cell phone protection for 3 phones, plus an interest-bearing account. And that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Join me, Bob Harrigan, the City of Venice, and the Venice Gondolier for their first ever Hurricane Expo. It's May 12th and 13th at the Venice Community Center. It's a family-friendly event featuring me and other expert speakers. We're breaking down everything you need to know before, during and after a hurricane. It's a fun way to make sure you and your family are safe if a storm hits the Suncoast. Don't miss this 2-day Hurricane Expo, May 12th and 13th at the Venice Community Center. See you there.
Check out mysuncoast.com/dining, your guide to the foodie lifestyle.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I'm creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah. Let me introduce you to the ultimate Florida window. Do you feel safer with this or this? You'll be proud too.
Going on now. For every 2 windows you buy, get 1 more free. Call today.
I heard about the Detoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Detoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was and some additional cancers that were not found during the biopsy. I would recommend the Detoli Cancer Center. As a group of human beings, they are unbelievably great.
There's a whole new way to bank with Achieva Checking Plus. You get new features like full ID theft protection, and that's good to know. Discover all the benefits at AchievaCU.com. Achieva, banking for good. Achieva Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA.
Will Aqua by the Bay get the approval that Longboat Point could not? So, if so, what kind of impact will it have on Manatee County's wetlands and ecosystem? Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. Andy, your prediction?
My prediction is he'll be back and something will go through at that place. Unless he keeps getting greedy and keeps going for these lousy projects. The thing that's terrible about this one with the 2,450-foot towers is that there's just nothing like it on the east coast of Florida, the west coast of Florida. There's nothing like it. It's okay. So you want to make a world-class thing? Make a world-class mangrove shoreline. You know, make a utilize, employ what's there. What's there is already world-class. People come from all the country, all around the world, to just look at that water, to go to those beaches. And so work with us, You know, keep your stuff to 35 feet, stay 500 feet away from the shoreline, leave everything intact. It's a beautiful place.
Joe, you're the former politician. Is there a compromise to be had here?
Well, with this developer, I don't think so, because I think he's trying to work the system in a piecemeal approach. And the hardest part that we have, everything seems to be changing all the time. You know, this permit here, this permit there. The one thing that I know are the people in Manatee County. And people in Manatee County appreciate our environment. We're already a unique place. We market, you know, to the world about how unique we are. People love the low rise, the low stress environment that we have. Outside of the traffic congestion getting to the island, you know, we really have a great place we live in. And so why do you want to experiment and change all that? Because one person wants to do a 180 of all the policies that we've had.
Experiment is the key word. This is the largest project by far, by an order of magnitude, that Carlos Baruf has ever done. So he's going to make all his mistakes on the bay.
The question is whether you trust the regulatory and the approval system.
Well, no, because they've already proven that they're politically driven. You know, as in the case of the DEP with the mitigation bank approval, did the 180 as soon as the politics got involved. They made the right call initially. Swift Mud basically kicking the can down the road, and the county almost kicked the can down the road.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there, but before we go, we want to share with us some of our viewers what some of our viewers are saying about President Trump's decision to fire FBI Director James Comey. Comey was 4 years into a 10-year term. This comes as the FBI is investigating possible coordination between the Trump campaign and Russia in the 2016 presidential election. The White House says the Russia probe had nothing to do with Comey's firing, listing the official reason as the mishandling of the Hillary Clinton investigation. Here's what some of you are saying. Barb Sally writes, so Trump fired the guy heading the investigation of him and his administration. Nixon tried to do this, and it didn't go so well. B. Kyles writes, comments on this are incredibly stupid. Comey should have been fired as soon as he would charge Hillary with treason. This is my opinion, which I have a right to, and you do. Damon Powers writes, holy hell, democracy just died in America today. Could Trump have possibly done anything to prove his own guilt more effectively than firing James Comey? What do you think about Aqua by the Bay? Join the conversation by visiting our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And you could watch past roundtable discussions. They're on demand, available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to both our guests for being here tonight. Joe McClash is the former Manatee County Commissioner, and Andy Maley is the Sun Coast Waterkeeper. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather, plus giving the Secretary of Education a lesson in civil disobedience. Bethune-Cookman graduates booing Betsy DeVos off stage during her commencement speech. Find out why in our primetime headlines.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
With Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-962-4112. That's 1-800-962-4112. Call now, 1-800-962-4112.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Drive into Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota and discover big savings during the Drive and Discover event. Come shop the Suncoast's largest selection of new Jeep Wranglers, or stop by today and drive away in a 2017 Jeep Cherokee for just $18,999. And for a limited time, get America's best value, a new Dodge Journey for as little as $16,599. Better prices, bigger selection. Go to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now, let's get a final check on our weather from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. Right now, a nice day and a nice evening, too, out at Anna Maria webcam. Bimini Bay showing rather calm conditions out there. We had a nice sea breeze develop, kept things a bit cooler near the coast. Inland areas, mid-90s today for highs. In places like Highlands County, Hardee, and DeSoto counties, all in the low to mid-90s there today. If you were near the beach, right around 85, the high temperature. Now, Titan radar not depicting any rain around, and it doesn't appear that it's going to be looking for much, or it's not going to see much. It may be looking all day long, but it's not going to see much rainfall in the upcoming 24 hours to 48 hours. We have a slight chance for a few showers on Saturday as a weak front moves in. Air quality index is high as a result of the ozone pollutant, and that is going to stay high too. It's approaching the unhealthy level for all folks here. Tomorrow we could get close to that. 83 degrees, the current temp, the dew point 63. Winds are out of the west-northwest. They're at 12. And the pressure 30.04 inches. That's high, and that continues to rise ever so slightly. The high today was 88. 85 is the normal, and 94 the record. As far as the lows go tonight across the state, we are anticipating temperatures to drop down into the 60s for the most part. Mid-60s, upper 60s well inland, but mid-60s, and then we'll warm up tomorrow. Again, into the mid-80s for highs in near the coast, but low 90s just east of the interstate. So Lakewood Ranch, Parrish, Arcadia, as well as into, looks like Wauchula will get around 93 degrees tomorrow. And then the lows to start things off on Friday will be at 70, so we'll stay on the warmer side. Even on Friday mornings, the low temperatures. Winds out of the north to northwest at 5 to 10 knots for boaters. Now, that's the way it will start. And then in the early afternoon, they'll switch around to the west at around 15 knots, and seas will start to build a little bit later on in the day. So although we'll start off with calm conditions, Seas will start to pick up a little bit later in the afternoon. Water temperature at 81 degrees. We'll see plenty of sunshine throughout the day, so good news for beachgoers. Load up on the sunscreen as the UV index will stay high. And tides upcoming. Low tide will be at 8:23 and a high at 2:21. Another low tide at 7:17. Sunset in just about 20 minutes from now. And the forecast, clear skies tonight, mild for the most part, mid-60s. Winds out of the northwest to northeast at 5 miles an hour. Tomorrow, just another sunny day. Highs in the mid-80s are the beaches, low 90s to mid-90s. Well, east, west wind at 5 to 10. And the extended forecast is calling for a slight chance, ever so slight, on Saturday. Looking good for Mom's Day on Sunday, and then temperatures nearing 90 all the way through much of the work week next week. Alan will be back with primetime headlines right after this.
I witnessed him have 2 heart attacks in ICU. He went through seizures.
We'd much rather have Aaron like this than dead. A lot of parents don't have that luxury.
He can't talk. He can't walk. This is a condition Aaron will live with for the rest of his life because he abused prescription pills.
Mind your meds. Learn more from the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
When you've been in banking for a long time, it's easy to forget what it was like in the beginning. It took a lot of work and dedication for 7 teachers to start our credit union and create a foundation that we continue to build on today. At Achieva, we never lose sight of the values that have defined us for over 75 years. We know you need mobile banking and lightning-fast solutions, but sometimes you might just need a helping hand. Any bank can make a transaction, but it takes a little more to make a difference. And that's good to know. Achieva, banking for good.
You only have one life. Are you gambling with it? 1 in 3 adults have high blood pressure. Not knowing your numbers could cause you to lose, big time. Luckily, you can turn the odds in your favor by getting your blood pressure checked today. Don't leave your health to chance. Learn more at heart.org/HPB.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
Now for your primetime headlines. Why and why now? The questions being asked across Washington in the wake of President Trump firing the director of the FBI, the same director in charge of the investigation into possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russian intelligence. The White House is pinning the firing of James Comey on how he handled the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. ABC's Lana Zak has the latest.
The White House says President Trump had been considering firing FBI Director James Comey since the day he was elected.
He wasn't doing a good job, very simply. He was not doing a good job.
Just atrocities in circumventing the chain of command in the Department of Justice.
Vice President Pence pointing to the 3-page letter from Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein outlining Director Comey's missteps in the Clinton email investigation.
President Trump provided the kind of strong and decisive leadership the American people have come to be accustomed from him.
Pence and other White House officials say Rosenstein ordered the review of Comey, but Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein told ABC News that the president told her he requested the probe himself.
He said the department's a mess. I asked Rosenstein and Sessions to look into it.
And while members of both parties were critical of Comey's handling of the Clinton case, some lawmakers are suspicious of the timing of Comey's ousting.
If that was the impetus behind this, it should have been done on Inauguration Day, not in May.
Nothing less is at stake than the American people's faith
in our criminal justice system.
But the Republican leadership is pushing back against calls for a special prosecutor, saying the ongoing congressional investigations are sufficient.
Calls for a new investigation, which could only serve to impede the current work.
Meanwhile, President Trump had a private Oval Office meeting with Russia's foreign minister today. Further complicating matters, in the days before he was fired, James Comey reportedly asked for additional resources and funding for his Russia investigation. The FBI acting director will testify before Congress tomorrow. Lana Zak, ABC News, Washington.
Secretary Betsy DeVos not getting the warmest reception from students at Bethune-Cookman University. DeVos was delivering the commencement address at the historically black college today, or at least she tried to. A large part of the audience turned their backs on her and tried to shout her down. Students have been peacefully protesting her appearance for a week. In the past, DeVos called founders of HBCUs pioneers of school choice. She rescinded the comments, conceding the schools were born of racism. Florida lawmakers gave a last-minute approval to a huge education bill, and now opponents are calling on Governor Rick Scott to veto it. The bill covers charter school funding, teacher bonuses, and moving standardized testing to the end of the school year. It passed through the Senate by the narrowest of possible margins, 20-18. Florida's teachers union is condemning the legislation, which was pushed by House Speaker Richard Corcoran.
We heard over and over on the floor, it's a terrible bill, but we'll fix it when we come back next session. Florida students can't afford to wait until next session. It needs to be fixed now, and the way to do that is with the governor's veto.
If I were governor, I wouldn't veto any of them. No. I think they're all great. They're not good policy, they're great policy.
Governor Scott could veto the bill to rebuke House Speaker Corcoran for slashing funds for economic development and tourism marketing. However, parts of the bill are popular and could impact Scott's bid for the U.S. Senate in 2018. Meanwhile, Governor Scott is signing a bill allowing the state to borrow $800 million for a reservoir south of Lake Okeechobee. The goal is reducing the recurrence of the toxic algae outbreaks that impacted South Florida waterways last summer. Under the new law, the reservoir would be built on state-owned land rather than private farmland. It also includes money for economic development projects in the Glades region. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.